guys, we are back at it again. I am getting out here working on my street photography skills by throwing in a little bit of a limitation, and that limitation today is me finally getting out and starting to get my chops together with using flash on my cameras while I'm out in situations where flash really would help the image, or just to even get that flash style pop with my images. I am lucky enough to have a flash today from Neweer. It is a Z160. They sent it out to me to review, and just like all my reviews, guys, you know I'm not going to do anything that I wouldn't use and feel you wouldn't be able to use and get along with. And then at the end of the review, I get to keep the flash, which is great. But they sent me out the Z160, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw some information up on the side about the flash and its capabilities. But I wanted to be able to go out, test my chops, see what this flash can do for me and how I get on with this flash. And I can honestly say, at least right now, in playing around with the flash, that one of the features that I like the most about it so far is the modeling light. It's probably one of the best implementations of a modeling light, power-wise for sure, that I've seen on a flash this size that goes on your camera. And I like the fact that it has an intermittent, which it's in a continuous setting, and depending on those settings, the flash, the modeling lamp, either goes off when the flash pops or stays on. But I love it. It's a really nice, bright, flat model lamp. But outside of that, I kind of want to go ahead and shoot this in auto, use the exposure comp settings that it goes into when you set it to auto, and see how I get along, adding a little flash pop to my street photography images. I know this is a cars and coffee event, but why not cars and ribs? I'm just saying. As you can see and hear, we got the Leica on now with the Neweer flash attached to it, and we got a nice little pop on that as well. I'm also using this in auto and got it on +7 on the exposure. So we're gonna go ahead and see what we get image-wise using the Leica. So guys, I wanted to go ahead and wrap up the outing and my conclusion on how I think I did with flash, using it on my camera, doing street photography at the Cars and Coffee event that I was at. So let's start off with the experience and then conclude with the flash and lessons learned. Experience wise, I enjoyed it. It actually was nice because while at the event, folks saw folks with cameras and had no issue with folks taking pictures, because that does happen a lot at these once a month events. But it was also nice because they didn't mind that I had a flash on the camera and that I was popping off a flash, taking some images. So a lot of folks even asked me if they could see the images to see how well I did, which was great. I was able to really have a really fun time talking with the owners of the cars, a few of them, as well as enjoying myself, taking images of people enjoying the coffee and cars event that was there. So all in all, my apprehensions, my hesitation of using flash while doing street photography was high, but yet it was comforting to see the experience I got, how people treated me excuse me, while I was out taking images and enjoying the event with everyone else. As it goes to the camera and the flash, the flash itself, I think performed very nicely. The thing that I like the most about the flash is using it in auto with either this camera, the M11, or with the GFX 100 RF I have, and I really enjoyed how well it put out light for me to light up the subject that I was trying to capture. Now, I will say that when it came to the flash, I was a little apprehensive about the size of it compared to that of my Fuji, but the weight of this thing was very nice. It didn't really add a whole lot of weight to the camera itself because it's not the traditional on-camera speed light, right? It's a compact flash. I know there are other brands out there that make something a little more compact, and I think that would have been nice, because for what I did for street photography, as much as I like the modeling lamp in here and what you can do with it, I would actually, if it meant losing that to make this a little bit more compact and push it back and make it in line with the camera, I would have done that. I would go that route for sure. But as it is, it performed very nicely. The readout was very nice to see. I was able to make adjustments using this dial right here very quickly, a lot quicker in auto than in manual, and I'll talk about that in a second. And when it came to things that I didn't like, and that's what we're going to talk about, I think that I performed better with this in auto than with it in manual, because in manual, because you can go from 1/1 to 1/125 in decimal increments, it was a lot to scroll using this button to get to what I wanted to get to quickly, so that I could take my shot. Where in auto, since I'm only dealing with exposure comp, it was a lot faster, less numbers to have to scroll through to get to what I wanted to get to. As far as the overall operation of it with the cameras, both cameras recognized the flash very quickly and used it without issue. The only aha moment for me, really, other than the fact that the battery barely looks like it did anything because it's still on full battery based on the images that I took, is that, as you can probably see here with the reflection, hopefully, I got some marring on it, some scratches, when I had it up against my 21 mil. The coating on the top isn't really as durable as I thought it was. It's like it kind of gives you a matte finish on it. And I see little marks all over this thing from it being in the bag, touching up against other stuff. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, because I thought that was be a little bit more sturdier. But other than that, overall, Neweer, good job on this flash. I would like to see TTL in this, especially since competitors are putting it in theirs, so they can work better with the light meter and go from there. Now, lessons learned. We'll stay on the flash. I learned that if I want to move fast, I needed to keep this on auto so that I can use the exposure comp. If this had TTL, it would have helped me to be able to move even faster, and the camera and the flash communicating with each other better to be able to give me the pop of light for what my exposure settings were. Because I was so, and we'll talk about the overall experience, apprehensive about popping flash on people, I forgot to look at the settings on the camera. And I had this camera, which doesn't have a leaf shutter, and the settings it was in the last time I shot for street, which was 1/500 on the shutter speed instead of on where it needs to be for the sync speed for this camera. Also, I had exposure comp going on the camera itself for the Leica, excuse me, and exposure comp going for the flash. So you'll notice in my Leica images that you can kind of see the shutter coming across on some of the images, or you'll see that there's an interesting shadow mark or line, and that was because I really didn't quite have the settings set up on the camera when I started, because I was nervous about popping flash on people. When it came to the Fuji, since the Fuji is a leaf shutter, it didn't matter what the sync speed or shutter speed was, because it sunk with the flash, which was fantastic. And then I was able to shoot this a lot quicker, because, or I didn't say a lot quicker. I got better images from this without that shadow or shutter showing because of it. But the same thing with this one, you know, I needed to make sure that my settings were correct, because in auto mode for the flash, it wants you to start at a certain range and adjust from there, and that's all good. But I didn't do any of that, and I just plugged and play, which is great, because that's what the lens let me, or in the flash, excuse me, let me do. But I will say overall the experience was great. I learned some things to go out and do it again. I definitely plan on going out and doing it again. I thought I had a good time. But you guys, you know, let me know in the comments what you would do. How do you set your cameras up and flashes up to go out and do street photography? You know, where your lighting changes a lot. Do you still use auto ISO like I did on both cameras instead of sticking to a specific ISO? Do you use a specific f-stop? Where I actually do. I shoot aperture priority, and I think it did great. Or do you rely on shutter? How do you set up your camera when using flash to do street photography? I'd like to know in the comments. Other than that, I do like the newer flash, again, for what it does and how the size of it, its output is great. And again, my only hang up was that even though it's a nice feature to have with all of the different settings on the manual, it was just a lot to try to scroll through and try to keep up with the scene changing in front of me for street. Now, outside of street, I know that this flash will do a number of other things that will probably make it great for. But for me as a street photographer, pretty much use for this flash, I got to admit that it did help me, and it didn't quite get in the way at all, not nowhere near I thought it would, and being able to go out for the first time using flash on camera and taking images of people. So with that, I'm gonna leave you guys to hopefully a wonderful weekend that you're having, because that's when I'm making this video, and a wonderful week depending on when you watch this. See you guys on the next video.